First, with us today we have an invertebrate scum-sucker whose moral dipstick's about 2 drops short of bone dry. Everybody dunk your tea for Nicholas Lea! Welcome, welcome. Hey. And next, I've promised her that nobody's going to make her sing any whale song today. No freaking way, it's Annabeth Gish! And finally, we have a man who truly proves that bald is beautiful. Exuding world-class disappointed dad energy, it's Mitch Pileggi!
He's also he's a scum-sucker and a moral dipstick.
I don't get the bald joke. What is... If I'd like to do something real quick before we get started, Mel? Get up.
Sorry, Mel. That was just percussion to add to your...
Okay, Mel has been a friend and has been so nice to me for so long, and somebody told me that I did a creation event recently and I didn't wear handling, and she was upset. So I'd like to say, I know it's in the laundry back in the hotel, but it has been, you've hugged this Henley many times. Wash your car with it. You know, wipe your dishes on, whatever you want to. It's a little threadbare.
If I'd known dirty laundry was going to work, I got plenty of that.
Listen, Jillian takes her t-shirts off at the con, or when we're still on stage.
Oh, and can I just remind everyone, so we asked that there'd be no audio and video recordings taken today, although you can take all the photographs you would like. Thank you. Right, so how are we all doing? We having fun?
Yeah.
This is great. This is great.
I just want to take a very quick moment to thank the organizers because they've done this is their first event, and we've been treated remarkably well, and everybody that I've met has been super kind, including yourselves, and gentle, and all the good things. So thank you.
I love you.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, this isn't a supernatural convention. I can't talk like that.
I'm gonna be like the hard-ass, non-appreciative fan of person, I guess, because I have no gifts, but I do give my thanks.
Welcome. We're all obviously very excited that you're here. So have you been meeting any weird and wonderful fans out there? What have you been seeing out there at the con tables?
Weird and wonderful. You know, I've talked to a number of people yesterday and today. You know, there's this beautiful thing that happens at these events where people find like souls and these relationships build. I remember being in Dragon Con and meeting these 2 really fascinating people who were 2 peas in a pod. They met online and were going to share a room, and now they were sharing a room at the hotel, and they were like inseparable, and they probably were going to be together for the rest of their lives. And it was a beautiful thing. It's you know, we need more togetherness than we've got, and this thing kind of provides that. It's beautiful.
from back in the day. So was there anyone that you were looking forward to seeing again? Anyone maybe you've not met before?
Nah. I'm sorry. That was okay. No, it's always great seeing everybody, you know. And it's like we were such a family for so long and grew so close together, and you know, and then we don't see each other for so long. But it's like when we do see each other, it's immediately that family again. And and last night we got to experience that a lot. It was pretty cool. So yeah, listen, the X-Files in itself and the fandom is. Well, you guys know what you are. It's amazing. It's amazing, and to know that. I mean, I meet 10-year-olds that are binge watching this show, and it's to me that is. And I told Chris that last night. And he just it was a good show. Anyway, that's all.
I was able last night to meet Laurie Holden, who I have not met before, which is crazy. And then some of the writers, like Glenn and Darren Morgan, and just to be able to, they were not there when I joined the show. So it's been great fun to still share that bond, even though, you know, we weren't there at the same time.
And I knew that Bob Goodwin was coming, you know, from looking at the website, and I get asked regularly when I'm at these events, you know, to what do you attribute the success of the show? And there's a number of reasons why that is, but one of them is Bob Goodwin. Because he facilitated all the insanity that happened. You know, writers were writing, and Bob was directing some episodes and directed some of the very, very best ones. But he was the guy that allowed us to be able to, you know, shoot somewhere for Hong Kong in the morning and Arlington Cemetery in the afternoon, and then the middle of the Pacific on a fishing boat in the evening. Right?
And a submarine coming out of an ice cap on the soundstage.
Incredible, right? And nobody was making movies for television weekly at that time, and those guys pulled it off, and especially in the beginning without a big budget. So I think he's kind of one of the unsung heroes of the whole thing.
Truly.
Is it true that when you were first starting out, you wrote a letter to Lillian Gish, no relation, and she wrote back and discouraged you from becoming an actress?
Yes, and that is very true. When I was 12 years old, from my Cedar Falls, Iowa library, Midwest, I found her address because my grandmother's name was Lillian Gish. By the way, note to self, don't wear a jean skirt with a slit.
Piercing, chaps.
I don't want to have a Sharon Stone moment here. Anyway, yes, Lillian Gish, I wrote to her, said I wanted to be an actress, and she said, stay as far away as you can from from show business. There's too much talent, not enough work, stay where people love you. And everything she said is true. But somehow, you know, though we all know if you have a bug and you have a passion and you stick with it, then sometimes good things happen. Stay the course.
Yeah. And what about, so if a young person wrote to you all now, what would you say to them now? Stay away?
Right now? Right now?
I would say you really have to love it. It can't be, it can't really be a sideline or something you want to dabble in. If you really have to do it, then you should do it. But those are the constraints under which you should start, because if you don't have that, it won't happen for you the way you want it to.
I mean, if you're mentally unbalanced and you absolutely need to be an actor, it's the perfect place for you to be.
But I would say this, I would say, write stories, use actors, collaborate, content that, not content, make stories. You know, like we need, I think, where we are at this time is a very radical time, ripe for revolution, but in the way that art matters, more than just digital content. And I think now is a time to be steadfast in that. Please, please, please make good shit. Yes.
Make good shit. Another t-shirt. So Annabeth, so you just obviously started out very young, but then you took a pause in your career and you went to study at Duke, right? So you had an acting teacher, I believe, who really impressed upon you that having real jobs is important to be able to play real people. And I believe, Mitch, you are a former janitor and also busboy as well?
Yes, ma'am.
You've been out there working in the real world. Nick, is it true you were in the Royal Canadian Navy as well?
For a very short period of time.
It counts.
They asked me to leave.
No shit.
We're willing to hear a story, Nick, if you want to share it.
No, it's just, I was not cut out for the military.
So, but retail jobs, I understand though.
Oh yeah. I was working at a clothing store. I mean, I wanted to be an illustrator when I was young. That's what I was shooting for. That's what I imagined I would be. In fact, I had a fairly clear vision. I wanted to be an illustrator on archaeological digs. That was my thing. And then I started singing in a band. And I did that for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years, and then I started working in a clothing store, which was weird. And then a guy came in that I knew and said, and when we were talking, he said, "Hey, you know, I met this acting coach. You should go meet her." And I went and met her, and I went in the next day and quit my job, started bartending, and to pay my way, and started and that's where. You know, at 25, I became an actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had some submitted questions, which I'm going to pepper throughout. So the first one here is, for all of you, what is your favourite job you've ever had that wasn't acting? Shall we start with
Like
Mitch?
paid jobs?
Whatever you like.
Let's start with Annabeth.
Ladies first. Wait, why?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I enjoyed anything until I started acting. I don't think any job that I had. Because I was working on DoD contracts in the Middle East for a long time, I loved being a janitor. When I came back from the Middle East, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I ended up in Austin, Texas, and I started doing theater, and I got a job at the theater. In the morning I did the books, and then I was the janitor, cleaned the theater. Then I would help build sets in the afternoon, and then at night I would do plays. So I spent almost every waking hour in the theater, and I was in heaven. And that led to me eventually, you know, leaving Austin and going to LA. And pursuing my dream. And I got fortunate, walked into a room, met Wes Craven, and I got really fortunate, walked into a room, met Chris Carter. So that was it.
That's awesome. What about you guys? Any favourite jobs? Also, part of that question was any least favourite jobs as well. If you could go the other way.
One of my least favorite jobs was detasseling corn in the summer in Iowa. But it was also probably one of the best jobs because it really taught me sweat, hard labor, you know, it's a good thing for your character. I think I say it to my sons all the time, you know, like, do manual labor makes you have some salt. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
I would have to say probably the best paying job that I had other than acting was playing in a band, because that was just like sort of dream come true sort of stuff. You know, worst job, the list is too long. I got fired from kind of almost every job I ever did. I remember we were moving, my friend called and said, "Oh hey, people are going to pay us like $100 each to move there. They're in a band," and this was before I was fairly young, and we have to move it into the basement of this place where they're playing, and they're going to pay us $100. And we got there and we smoked this big joint before we did. And I remember we were carrying down like huge speakers, and we were like looking at each other, we were laughing so hard. And they said, "You know what, you guys really should just go. And that was you know, I'm not a good employee.
Good stuff. Okay, but then we come from there into the acting world, which can bring its own world experiences. Obviously, you've got stunts, you've got locations, you've got those huge built sets we've been talking about. Lots of variety. So one of the questions that we had submitted for all of you is, what were your all-time favourite experiences as an actor? And that can be either on set or off? Like, what opportunities have come to you that wouldn't have come to you
Well, you all
otherwise?
know the answer to this, because I met my wife on the X-Files. So. 25 years later, she's hung in there with me. So that says a lot for that woman.
Well, there must be something in the water, because I met my husband on the X-Files. Yeah. We will celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary next month.
What was the question?
All-time favorite experience as an actor, like what's come into your life?
Listen, again, too many to count. I was really fortunate on this particular show to be able to do so many crazy things that I detailed before, but like hanging from 18 floors off the side of a building. Running out of exploding cars, so I got to do so much great stuff. I worked on a film called Vertical Limit where we shot in New Zealand for 6 months, and that was like, I got to go to work in a helicopter every morning, and it just incredible experiences. Any job where I get to exercise my little boy, is like really kind of like a gift come true. It's I've just had so many. I've had some horrible experiences on set and working professionally, but I've also had just so many remarkable experiences. I've been to the White House. I've been, I've been skydiving with the Golden Knights. I've been, the US.
I want to hear more about this because I hear you mention it, and I feel like I want to hear this story. Like, when do you hear this is what you're going to be going off to do?
Well, it was really weird. They have this thing every year at Andrews Air Force Base, and I'm not a military person. I'm really not. And in fact,
you've established that.
Yeah, that's true. And they reach out to me. They do a poll every year in the military. And the first year, the person they chose was Harrison Ford. The second year was Tom Hanks. Third year was me. And I was like, I don't 100% understand, but I don't, that's not really my deal, and I'm not sure I want to be out there, as a proponent of the military. And they said, well, you're going to go in an F-16, you're going to go skydiving, you're going to go to the White House and East Clinton. And I said, maybe I. So I went out there and I just, just really crazy experiences, right? Like just, so, I count myself very, very fortunate. When I'm on my deathbed, I'll have lots to think about.
Fabulous. So, another thing about acting, and you touched on it a little bit there, is actually most of it is kind of waiting around. And a lot of it is pretending to be really hot when it's freezing, pretending that it's absolutely not raining when it's pouring.
I worked on Vertical Limit. We were, Bill Paxton and Robin Tunney and I were supposed to be fallen into an ice cave to be rescued. That was sort of the thrust of the movie. And they built this whole refrigerated set, right? And it didn't work. And so I was dying through a large part of the film, and I still had to wear all my gear, and we were under all these hot lights. My belly button was full of sweat, like I was so hot, and we were supposed to be so cold. Acting.
What about you, Annabeth? I want to hear about your most miserable day on set when you just thought, I've just questioned all my life choices.
Recently I've had, the wonderful thing about horror is that it's, it's very cathartic and all of that, but recently on a show I had to wear three layers of contact lenses and a wig in a wheelchair and then go in a coffin. So it was all very morbid, and I also found it to be very depressing, like very kind of effed with my mind a little bit. I didn't want to be in a closed coffin, so no more coffins are in my contract for the time being. But yeah, that was you do, and maybe it's because as I get older too, I just don't want to suffer that much.
Too old for this.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't look Annabeth in the eye when you're working with her, and you can't put her in a coffin. And no red jelly beans.
She doesn't really like you to talk to her.
I'm a diva.
What about you, on-set horror story?
I did a thing. Can we say movie thing? I don't know.
Yep, you can say that.
I did it with Lou Diamond Phillips, and we had a scene where I was getting shot the next day, and we were shooting in the high desert. It was really cold, and for some reason, a bunch of us decided to stay up and play poker and drink until 5 o'clock in the morning, and our call was at 7 o'clock. So anyway, I had to do this death scene where I was so hungover and so I felt awful. And I was wearing this. The character I was playing was some kind of, I don't know, Goomba. I had this silk shirt on. That's all I had on, and I got shot, and then I had to lay on this cold asphalt. Just freezing my ass off. It was painful. It was painful, and I still let Lou know about it. So.
No,
you sort of imagine it's pretty cushy. So you can sort of imagine it's a cushy job, but there are definitely times. I've had people shoot guns off like right beside my head. Worried I was going to go deaf. I've had to be in freezing cold water to the point where hypothermia was possible. They'll throw you into just about anything if you say yes to it, and sometimes it can be hazardous to your health. And the hours back in the day, man, we used to work like 18-hour days, and all kinds of things are possible at that point. All kind of dangerous things can happen. It's actually kind of a grueling job at times. It all on the outside looks pretty soft and pretty cushy, but you got to have a tough exterior to be an actor. They say heart of a child, hide of a rhinoceros.
I've always wondered if people could measure the cortisol levels in actors, because the amount of stress that we sometimes have to imagine, and it's a privileged kind, I understand that, but it's perverse because we willingly do it. But I really think like at the end of our lives, our heart rates have spiked more from the anxiety and the imagined stress and the unemployment and the you know what I mean? Like
you guys work at it too hard. I just wear makeup, dress up and make believe for a living.
But before these on-set stories then, so Mitch and Annabeth, I know you both kind of started out doing community theatre and theatre at school. And so Nick, were you doing on-stage acting in your youth as well? Did you or you just literally came to it after the retail stuff?
Yeah, at 25, I had no experience. I didn't do any stage or any high school plays. I was kind of like just into basketball and rugby and stuff like that. Like that's really all I did. And then the art room. I spent all my time in between those three places. And I met, as I said earlier, I met that acting coach, and she said, "You should be an actor." And that's what happened.
Fantastic.
It's just weird, right? The whole thing's so weird. And now I'm sitting here and people want my autograph. It's bizarre. Like, it's just totally bizarre. It really, truly is. Believe me, I'm a fan of a lot of people, and I understand the whole thing. I completely do. But I've never yet accepted responsibility for any of it. And truly, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a small cog in a big wheel, So the whole thing always feels a little unusual to me, and I always have a bit of a hard time putting it somewhere,
Well, so one of our submitted questions then for all of you is there theatre in your future?
Well, I just got back up on the boards last week.
Oh.
I did.
Tell us more.
I did it was wonderful. It was John Patrick Shanley, the playwright John Patrick Shanley, was doing a workshop of new one acts in Los Angeles, and it was terrifying and invigorating, and reminded me again why I love it so much. It's a very different, medium, as we all know, but there was something, especially during this time, post-pandemic, during the strike, that felt connected. And there wasn't a camera, which I didn't think about my face or my body, even though I was very present in both, if that makes sense, just emotionally. It was so nourishing. So it was terrifying, but it was great.
It's so different. I did a play a couple years ago in Austin, at the theater I used to be a janitor at, and they asked me to come down and do a play, and boy, I tell you what, it was amazing to be back on stage, but it's such a different creature. It's like just everything about it was you just had to make yourself so much bigger, and it feels so unnatural, after being, doing film and TV for so long. It was hard. I had a really hard time making the adjustment. I don't know if I do anymore. I love theater. I describe theater versus TV as theater is like a 7-course meal versus a cup of soup. Sometimes, I mean, a lot of TV. So it's really fulfilling, but it's a lot of work. I think I'm just too old to do it now.
Fair.
Yeah, I personally think it's where you really learn who you are as an actor on stage, and how you do the art and how the art does you on stage, because it's a very, very different experience. There's no stops, there's no starts. You start and you don't stop until the curtain goes down, and that teaches you very quickly how you manifest. I did a play that we did in Munich and Edinburgh and New York and Los Angeles a few years ago, and that's where I met and fell in love with my wife, the mother of our children. And it was a really cool experience. It was a very different kind of play. It was very cutting edge. And it was a sort of a combination of being on stage, but also doing film, because we were being filmed and projected up on a big screen that was fed through computers and then put into like a digital world. So we were like in the 1947 Hotel Vancouver in the world, but we were on a bare stage, blue screen stage. It was very, very cool. It's called Helen Lawrence. If you ever get a chance to look at it, it's a fantastic, very interesting approach to theater. Yeah, you're naked up there.
Now we know why Nick's line is so long.
It's true. People said, "Your line, there's so many people," and I'm like, "There's actually not. I like talking to people, and I like,
I'm just giving you shit because we have to make this panel fun, since we can't talk about the X-Files.
What?
You can talk about it, you just can't.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, Annabeth and Nick are actually fine to talk about it, because you agreed to come before the strike, so you are completely fine, don't you worry. The SAG police are being held off at the door. You guys are fine, you can say the words.
I can't say it though.
I think we'll be okay.
It's so weird, eh? But somebody told me the other day, they were at a con, and this actor, I don't even know who it was, but he held up his phone and he played some audio, and it was an advertisement with his voice. He'd done a campaign with these people, but they'd now done another campaign with using his AI version, and never told him, and never paid him, and never anything. And he found it, and there's his voice, and so there's a kind of like a gathering cloud, but nobody really understands what it is, or what it looks like, or how it's coming, or when it's coming, or if it's coming. So it's a very, very strange thing. And you guys have probably heard there's a lot of people in this industry that make their living off of being background performers. Well, the studios offer the background performers a home and have them shoot their body in a 360 and create a digital version of them that they can now use in perpetuity for $100.
Oh, that's true. I've actually done that myself, because I've done some background work and
on the Crown.
Yes, on the Crown. All right, yeah. Okay, so it was like the absolute best 4 days of my life. And they were like, you're going to play a reporter, and you need to go around and interview Margaret Thatcher. Okay, sound good? It sounded good. But yes, they didn't on The Crown do a 360 of my body, but they did on Fantastic Beasts, and the thing was, if you didn't do it, they sent you home. So that was it. It was like, we own your image forever, and we can do whatever we like with it in perpetuity throughout the universe, or you go home and don't work anymore. So yeah, things do need to change. Right, but we do have another submitted question though. So, enough about me. Is there anything... But later on I can tell you all the whole Crown story. It was good fun. Right. Is there... They gave me a notepad. I took notes. Is there anything about acting or being a celebrity that really surprised you or affected you in a way you didn't expect?
I'm not a celebrity.
Yeah,
we celebrate you.
Nor am I.
I hate that word.
Yeah, and
if anybody ever refers to me to as a celebrity, it's like I immediately let them know that I am not a celebrity. It's just bullshit. Yeah.
I'm just an actor, you know what I mean? I'm an actor. I'm neither a celebrity nor anything else. I'm an actor. I've never seen myself as being anything other than that. I don't want to see myself as anything other than that. And it's weird because I get recognized kind of like all over the world. And I suppose that is somehow defined as being a celebrity, but I've never considered myself one. And I'm just a person who was in the right place at the right time.
Here's my take. If anybody calls themselves a celebrity, they're an asshole.
Yeah. It's true.
Has there sort of been anything, I mean, that must have been a change in your life, right? From before, nobody, you know, you walk around the street, nobody knows.
I have to say, I've been so fortunate because I've had an over 40-year career, and people have been respectful my whole career. I had one lady sit down at the table with us in a restaurant. My wife straightened her out real quick. Yeah, but that was once. But for the most part, I feel so fortunate to have done as many things that I've done and really not be that recognizable.
Really?
Honestly, it's just, or it's either that or people are just scared to fucking death of me.
It's definitely that.
Actually, Jillian told me that. She goes, because I was talking about directors, I said, no, they never direct me. She goes, well, maybe you scare the shit out of me.
What about you, Annabeth? Anything that surprised you about that sort of new aspect of life or that aspect of the business?
Well, same. I can say the same as Mitch in that I've had the good fortune to, and hard work is a part of that, but to be a journeyman actor and also to have a life that's, but I feel like if you want the scandalous side of celebrity, you can find it, you know, you can create it, but I really value my normal life. I have 2 kids and a husband, and I'm on the quarterback club for my kids' football team, and it's not an issue. I am, yeah. But it's just, I think if you want to live a normal life, then, you know, one of the beautiful things, and I'm not being kissing ass or anything, but like this kind of an experience, like the fandom that you realize when we're all the same, we all get up in the morning, we all have, you know, behind the curtain of Instagram and social media and all that bullshit. Life is, yeah, not for Mitch, but he's not on social media.
Neither am I.
Oh, wow, okay, well, I'm the whore.
Another t-shirt?
You walked right into that.
And I didn't wear a slit skirt today, so
Well, whatever. The point is, it's wonderful when we all share this common humanity, and that's what it is. So that's been a lovely blessing in this, and of being an actor.
I just want to say, it's also, like, I've caught myself too, actually in retrospect, I've caught myself. Mitch and I did a trip to Europe, you know, London and Paris and Madrid and all this stuff, and you know, again, only in hindsight, but you know, if you wanted something, it was always there for you, right? It's like, oh, can I get a fit? And it's there, you know. And then
you just got a freaking cup of coffee.
I know. Which I was happy to get, you know, for myself. But and then one day it's not there, and you're going, where's my thing? I asked for my thing, and then you're like, you're entitled all of a sudden, right? You feel entitled, and I sometime later had to go to Mitch and say, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was doing there, but I caught myself much later looking back and going, I was kind of entitled then, and I had no right to be, you know. So, but I think it's easy to fall into it if you allow yourself.
But I think it's been a humbling last few years as well. I mean, obviously we had the lockdowns for COVID, the shelter in place, and now, of course, we've got the strike. I think for a lot of people, it's been a bit of a rare chance to really just slow down. So I'm wondering, actually, like, what has come into focus for you in this time? Like, what is it that you occupy yourselves with when you actually have a real choice? And, like, have you learned anything about yourself? Are there any changes that have come about?
You're asking some really good questions. This is I've been working on a thing
Take two. If it's the thing I think you're talking about.
And I've been having the time of my life. I'm as happy as I've ever been working. You know, so that's coming to a dead stop right now. It's like it's not going to last. I hope. But I'm getting time to spend with my family, and which I have. You know, which is weird because I always have time to spend. People say, you know, how's your, you know, you excited about the weekend? My life is a weekend. Unless I'm shooting, it's like I'm not working, and it's so I've got a lot of time off, and I've got a lot of time like I have now off. So I'm kind of just living like I normally do. And I don't want to tell you things I do every day because but I play my music. I play my music. I do my art. I work out, and I try to.
Some people are appreciating that.
Listen, when we did the last series, and I couldn't ragdoll David around anymore, I thought something needs to change. No, you take, like I was saying last night, you take care of your body and it'll take care of you. Just know that. But I'm really enjoying the time, spending time with my wife and daughter, and living in Austin. I've got a house that I set up in such a way that I don't have to leave it.
Oh,
it's got everything I need in it, you know. So because I would do well in the penal system, so I'm very. But this is far from a penal system.
Don't giggle.
I've always thought that about you, but I never wanted to say it. You'd also do okay in prison.
I try to think something clever, but I got
And what about you, Annabeth?
The same. I haven't learned anything crafty. I didn't learn to make bread. I'm not a good
Did you
cook.
even exist in 2020 if you didn't learn to make bread?
I really, the togetherness has been great. I'll never get those months back with my teenage sons and my husband. And same thing for the strike. It's been a time of togetherness for my husband and I, who works a lot in the industry as well, to be together. And I think, yeah, I mean, when we all go through a global pandemic, it neutralizes everybody. We are all the same because we can all get infected by the same virus. So we're all in danger, you know? And I think that did, to your point, Fiona, I think it really kind of normalized people. So I hope that continues. I think that's a good ethos.
Nick, how did you spend your lockdown? Anything came into focus for you there? Any changes?
Yeah.
You don't have to share, we can move on.
Oh, my life changed drastically 4.5 years ago when we had 2 premature babies, and they're now well, and they're 4.5 years old. But you know, we went through the PTSD-inducing experience of having children in NICU for 3 months, and then very shortly after that, COVID hit. And so, you know, there was a silver lining for us in that we had so much interrupted time. I was with them 24 hours a day, and I watched them like grow day by day by day by day. There's nothing traditional about our household. I don't go to work at 9 and come home at 6 and kiss them before they go to bed. I'm like doing everything. And so that, and now the strike, it's a little bit different for me because I'm Canadian and I live in Canada and I'm a Canadian Union member, and there are still some Canadian projects going on. My wife seems to be in all of them. I don't. We had Annabeth was very kind last night to sort of coach me through some moments about it. Yeah, no, like, listen, actually acting is kind of like way on the back burner for me right now. I don't have the time or the space or the energy to do it. There's way more important things going on. I'm losing my mind. It's day by day by day. My brain is shrinking, and my fuse is getting shorter.
Parenthood.
So he got through the pandemic just fine.
So we brought up some of creative pursuits there. So Mitch, you were mentioning about your art and your music as well. And Annabeth, are you still working on your Wolf Hollow screenplay? Are you pencils down, or?
Well, I'm not in the Writers Guild. I did write the screenplay. That was amazing. I mean, the fact that I actually finished something was amazing.
That's half the battle.
People who know me know that I just like to start things and have great ideas, like the wallpaper project that my husband and I said, let's try this new self-adhesive wallpaper that you can get at, for $50. And he said, what? I hate wallpaper. But I ordered it anyway. And then I didn't know about how you needed to use a level. And I didn't know that you had to do a whole bunch of other crazy shit to try to get it to stick. And my husband had to complete the wallpaper. So for me to finish a screenplay, was amazing. I did it. I don't think it's going to go any further because the woman who wrote the book, her son is also a screenwriter, and so whatever. But it was a good exercise, and I plan to be writing more.
That's good.
That's what I want to hear.
Did you write it by yourself?
Did it all by myself.
Listen, writing is hard. I tried writing one time. I was writing a screenplay, and I was like, so I sat down and I'd write some dialogue, write a few scenes, lines of dialogue, and I'd go, oh man, that's good. That's funny. That right there, that's funny. And I write some more. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. So I had a friend of mine who was a writer. I said, come over and read this. Well, I wrote some stuff. I want you to come read it. So he came over and read it. And he goes, so where's it going? I said, shit, I don't know. But look at that line right there. That's funny. It's a good line. He goes, yeah, it's one good line. So you don't make a screenplay out of one good line. So that was the last time I tried to write it.
And then you think about, well, I guess I can't talk about that, never mind.
You can keep it non-specific.
Just how prolific people on certain shows have to be, 22 episodes a season times 9 seasons is wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we have some musicians here. So, former lead singer of Beaumont, yes. Singer and guitarist here. Of course, our good friend David Duchovny, singer, songwriter. So I'm just wondering, when's the tour?
That's a really good question.
We could definitely get something going.
What is it with male actors wanting to be?
I come by honestly because I was doing it before I was
I just like singing. You know, before the season, how do I do this?
Before the thing.
Hold on.
I was doing this thing, and the producers came up to me and said, "What do you want to do next season?" I said, "I want to sing." So they let me sing. And of course, when I watched it, the singing was good, but I watched it, I looked like Jeffrey Dahmer looking for his next man. I swear to God, I was going, what am I doing? It's like,
Yeah, the singing faces, the photos, they're always unfortunate. But I think what we need to do is I want a Twitter competition going for the rest of the day, please. So we'll do hashtag Phile Fest, but I need to know, what's the band called? David, Mitch, and Nick. Okay, so thinking caps on, I want to know what's the trio called when they're going out on their world tour?
Come on, people, you can come up with some good shit. Remember when I said make good shit? Yeah. Please make good shit.
please, no, Mulder is me.
Then, for all of you, what's better now than in the 90s, and what's worse? In general.
Sex. I'm a 52-year-old woman. Makes a difference.
So what's better now? What's better now than in the 90s? And what's worse?
Nothing.
Nothing's better now than the 90s.
Come on.
I can't think of anything. This was enough.
How about you? Yeah. Don't you feel like you're
I don't even know where to go.
My hair. It's better in the 90s, probably. What's worse? Oval affairs.
Well, let's take it back to the 90s though. So we are all here, it's Phile Fest, so we are celebrating our love of a certain 90s show. And this here today, this is by and for the fans. We've had 30 years of coming together to celebrate that which brings us immense joy, or comfort, or whatever it is that keeps our passion alive. So I'm wondering about you three though, fandom in your life. Are you now, or have you ever been a part of a fandom?
What?
A part of any fandom? Any teenage fan club memberships in your past?
When I was a little boy, there was a movie called Toby Tyler Goes to the Circus with Kevin Corcoran. It was a Disney movie, and that made me want to be an actor, and that's first. And also Haley Mills. I had a crush on Haley Mills. Did you? You did too, right?
I was a part of the Sean Cassidy fan club.
I had when I was in high school, I was in grade 12, and there was a group of grade 8 girls, and they used to stick stuff into my locker, and it was pictures of Sean Cassidy, with pictures saying, "You look like," right? And all these grade 8ers thought that I looked like Sean Cassidy, and then I met Sean Cassidy.
He's directing now.
Yeah,
right.
And I told him this story, and I was like, and these girls, you know, they thought that I looked a lot like you, and I swear to God, he went like this. That was all I got. I was like, okay, that didn't go well. What was the question?
I've forgotten myself, Nick.
If you were part of a fandom.
You know, like, listen, there's the people that the people that I admire and look up to are so wide-ranging and vast that I wouldn't even know where to start. But I will say that I was at a St. Jude event in Florida. This is kind of like the backwards way of answering this question, but St. Jude does these events in Palm Springs and in Florida, and you know, it's to help the Children's Hospital, so I sort of got on board with that, and Mike Mills, from the bass player from REM, is like always at these events, and I always see him, and I'm a huge REM fan, and I didn't know how to approach him, and I was sitting there, and he walks up and he goes, "Listen, I don't usually geek out at these things, but I'm a huge fan of yours." And I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening right now?" And somebody said, "Hey, come meet Alice Cooper." And I was like, "Alice Cooper does not want to meet me." Because I hate doing that, right? Come and meet him, come shake his hand. I'm like, "This is okay." And she goes, "No, come. And I walk over and she goes, "Nick, this is Alice. Alice, this is," he goes, "I know exactly who you are." She shakes my hand, he goes, "You're one of the best villains ever on television." And for now, I cannot die happy.
Can I say a quick, my wife had a fan experience. We were up in Vancouver, and I was shooting on something, and she was up there with me. We were staying at the Sutton place, and she was getting on the elevator, and Ian Somerhalder was on the elevator, and she got on it, she just looked at him and just froze. Didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do. And finally she goes, "Your eyes are so pretty." And then he goes, "Oh, well, thank you so much." And he goes, "What are you doing up here?" And she goes, "Oh, my husband's up here working on a show." And he goes, "Oh, who's your husband?" She couldn't remember that. No shit, I told Ian that one time. I said, "So that's what you and your friggin' eyes do."
Well, speaking of fans though, so, I mean, you all have some dedicated fans. I'm sure we have some here today. So, we have the Gishies, right? There we go. And we have the Pileggies, right? And what do we call, what do we have, like the Rat Pack, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it is now. We've named it. But so I know Annabeth...
Breaking all kinds of ground here today.
You in particular, you really interact a lot with your fans. I think you may be officially the nicest person in the world.
No, I'm not. No.
But you do. You know, and even Mitch, you just hear, you know, you guys, there is a relationship and it goes both ways. I just wondered if you wanted to talk a little bit about that, sort of what that's brought to your life.
I have to say that my Gishies are derivative of the Pileggies.
She ripped me off. What the hell?
But I am eternally grateful for my Gishies. They're the best.
You've been doing like scavenger hunts and things with them. I think this is all again since lockdown. Like social media, it really has democratized fandom.
Yeah, I for sure. And I mean, our little T-shirt says find friends and navigate the waters. Because we all kind of started Zooming during COVID and we weren't charging anything for it. It was just a genuine, like, collective kind of get together, let's make each other connect. And what was my point? I literally just had
I do that all the time.
Oh my God, I literally just lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
we were kind of thinking about, like, what has it brought to you, I guess, being able to have that interaction?
Friendships, laughter. We've raised money for charities, and now we're back. There, thank you. Gish, which has nothing to do with my last name. Who started it? Misha Collins. It's the greatest international scavenger hunt. And so Gishies started to do this Gish thing, and it was so freaking fun. Weird shit, but fun.
Great, and you're all getting to play a game together. Fun.
So many things have changed, and you have children at a ripened age, and my whole feeling about the industry has sort of changed in the last 5 years. It's strange to come to these events and sort of be held up as something when you may not be that anymore, nor do you feel that way anymore. So it conjures up very complex feelings for me. And I sometimes wonder if I'll just be a father from here on out, or whether things will change and I'll get a big job and off I'll go and do, myriad other projects again. It's just really, it's a very interesting time in my life. I started seeing a therapist about a year ago, and he said, you know what's happened? Everything's changed, and you just haven't caught up to it yet. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Everything's changed, and this was, again, it was during COVID, it was, etc. Everything's changed, and I'm still kind of like 25. You know what I mean? So it's a strange time. So it's brought me all these things, and yet it also has brought me some frustration as well. So it's just an interesting time.
Annabeth, so what did it mean to you then? What does it mean to you now?
Oh, I mean, I think Nick said a lot, and I ditto in many ways. Ever grateful, happy. That's it.
Well, I think there was at the time that there were, that I started working on this thing we're talking about. I think they were looking for somebody to fill that role. I think they tried a couple of other people, and it just so worked out. It happened that I think Jillian was, when I started doing it, I think Jillian had gotten pregnant, so she was going to have some time off, so they needed somebody to come in, and you and I kind of filled that. That's right. That void for a bit, and I have to thank Glenn Morgan, because I know that when Chris, it was between me and somebody else, and Chris was agonizing, trying to figure out which way he wanted to go. And Glenn gave him the sage bit of advice of always go with the bald guy. So I have to thank him to this day. I can't act worth a damn.
Affirmative action.
So anyway, and fortunately that he liked what I was doing, but I mean, to this day, there's a woman living in my house that is there because of this show.
I hope you are talking about your wife, not someone in the attic. Yeah.
Well, the other one. The other house.
Who snuck in like a parasite. Okay.
I mean, it's crazy, right? It's bizarre to me. Of all the things that could have happened, here we are, right? We're doing this thing, and I'm sitting on a stage, and I'm talking to you about my experiences on a show. And good Lord, I mean, what are the chances, right? It's kind of remarkable, especially coming from Vancouver. There's no rhyme or reason why one person does or one person doesn't. I've come across so many talented actors in my life that never made it, So there's, and were it not for the fans of the X-Files, I probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of shows that I got afterwards, because I was known because of it, and that brought me all kinds of successes and experiences. So to go back to one of the original questions, listen, if it weren't for the fans, I don't know what I'd be doing now.
Well, I think that's a good place.
Thank you, because you guys helped us along. Let's go away.